right? So this is what the pattern we have. Now, one thing we also created in my parent side is a list. So list is something which going to give me a kind of an arrangement. List can be anything. List can be quiz also. List can be my project plan also. So what will happen if we go and delete this list? When I go and delete this list, where I gonna recover that? But remember, list also report to a site. So if I go and delete this list, simply click and I say that delete this item. Let me remove that. Gonna right click and say delete this one also. It's also gone away. Both my item within a list has been deleted now. So when I go back to my site content, just to confirm whether it is still available with my site a specific recycle bin or not. Let's click that one. And I can find that I have my list which is available to my local site recycle bin. So it means that both my document management system, both my list, it's all gonna report to my local site. And because of that, whenever I remove or perform a delete operation, that delete operation is going to send my deleted list or a document to recycle bin. And then from there, if I have edit right, if I have a edit right, either my right is a contributor right or a owner right or explicitly edit right, I can see this stage 1 recycle bin and I can recover the data from this recycle bin. So my list is now in recycle bin. I can click this one and select restore selection and it's done. And if I want to permanently remove that, it is, look at that, what the word it is saying that. Do you want to permanently delete? So it is giving me an assumption that when I click this permanently delete option, it is removed forever. But it's not true because as per the reporting hierarchy, whatever has been removed from here, it is going to sit in a parent site until and unless this parent site itself removed or deleted. I can still recover the data from a stage 2 in the next 90 days. So let's say yes, I want to delete this one, it is gone, but I can still recover my data from a stage 2, which is part of my site collection administrator. And I can go ahead and say that restore this particular list from my second stage recycle bin, which belongs to my SharePoint. So this is a pretty straightforward configuration. Nothing we have to enable, nothing we have to disable, no complex setting required. It is by default enabled feature now. In a previous version, when we are using SharePoint 2010, this recycle bin need to be enabled with the complex PowerShell command. But with 2016, it is straightforward. Configuration is already there. We only have to use that one. So this is how we are going to protect myself from any kind of a deletion which is happen on my SharePoint reporting site. But what will happen if something has been happened at the Active Directory. Because remember, my SP admin, my Tom, my Tim, all are the user, and where this user go and store. This user is a part of Active Directory. What will happen if someone accidentally delete this user? When I delete this user, all the permission which user has on every resources, it gone. Even if you recreate the user with the same name and a password, permission is still you have to reassign. It is a very tedious task. So if user has a permission on, let's say, a 50 things within a SharePoint, and if user is by mistake deleted in Active Directory, then it means that that user can't access any of the things where they have a resources and they have a permission. Even if we create the user account again with the same name, and let's say for example, I can request user to maybe reset their password, whatever they have older password, permission not gonna work, because permission within any security system, whether it is a SharePoint, IIS, SQL, Active Directory, or a Windows Server, they use something which is called security identifier. They not use the name. I give a name Tom, but internally my security system treat them as a number, and that number is every time a unique number. So it means that on my Active Directory is again a very vulnerable point, and many incident has happened during the cleanup exercise or something. The user account get removed from my AD, and when it is removed from the AD, user no longer get the access of any of the resources in a SharePoint. While SharePoint, if anything is deleted, we have an option like recycle bin. What about Active Directory? Does Active Directory also have feature like that, where we can restore the data from a recycle bin? So your Active Directory service also give you a recycle bin, but unlike SharePoint, this need to be activated. So Active Directory also have their own recycle bin, where you can recover the data, recover the deleted user, so that user can get the access. Let's see that how this Active Directory recycle bin is going to work. So I'm going to log in to my Azure portal. Going to access my first virtual machine, which is Active Directory virtual machine. Take the remote. Molecule, SP admin, password 1234. All right, I logged in. So now I am on Active Directory server, where we are going to configure recycle bin for my Active Directory. All right. So here I have a tool which is called Active Directory Administration Center. Now this is a very specialized tool which is available with Active Directory configure on Windows Server 2013 or Windows Server 2016. So what I am gonna get there, I get the whole hierarchy of your MongoDB site. So now you see that in this Active Directory Administration Center, I'm going to get all my OUs, organizational unit, and other configuration. But along with that, on my right hand side, I have option like to delete, to check the properties, and I also have something which is called enable recycle bin. So every SharePoint, wherever we have a SharePoint deployment, this is the very first recommendation that you must enable recycle bin on your Active Directory. This feature is available 2013 onwards. My Active Directory is configured on Windows Server 2016. So by default, this feature is there. So it's a same way like a SharePoint. Only difference that in a SharePoint newer version like 2016, 2013 even, recycle bin is by default configured, enabled, and available. Before, if anyone is running SharePoint 2010, they might not have this feature, and for that they have to perform a very complex configuration to enable this recycle bin. So I simply click this yes, I want to enable the recycle bin feature, and it is gonna activate that one. So let's hold, it's gonna freeze. Yeah, they say that, yeah, are you sure you wanna perform the recycle bin? And what the warning it is going to give me. Once it is enabled, it cannot be disabled. So it cannot do a reverse action for Active Directory. I say I'm quite okay with that. You say that your Active Directory has enabled this feature now. So let's me have to wait for some 2 minutes, then we gonna restart my infrastructure to take this new feature in effect. Recycle bin everywhere. So now let's make these changes in effect. Since I am going to restart my domain controller, before that I have to close all this tool. And let me properly shut down this one. So first I have to shut down my SharePoint server, because SharePoint server end of the day is going to take the authentication from my Active Directory. All right. Now let me close this one. First I am going to reboot it. You say that I have an update which need to be enabled. I say all okay. Oh, by mistake, I'm gonna shut down my system. Luckily, I saved this myself. So let me restart from here itself. So now I have enabled recycle bin feature on my both server. Let's wait for a minute. All right, so it looks fine with me. Let me start my SharePoint. So now I updated a new feature. Yeah, it's running now. Let me take control of my ADVM. Password 234. All right. So now I'm going to use user and computer. Perfect now. Hey, Mr. Tim, I do not need you. Thank you very much. And I mistake remove this user. Tom gone. By mistake, as an admin, I did something, I run any script, or maybe some command, or maybe manually, intentionally, and I removed that one. So it means that once the user remove this user, this user need to be get access, all the access of this user belongs to gone away. So how I am going to restore my user now, which is removed. So now when I click this one, I get something which is called a deleted container. So it means that this deleted container is gonna get my Tom user. So it means that at this point of time, what will happen? When a Tom try to, give me a sec, let me to punch my changed IP address of my SPVM to my etc directory. Every time when we stop and start the server, public IP gonna change. I can buy it, but only when I need that. So I say that I'm going to log in with spadmin. Sorry, spadmin, and I'm going to say password 1234. And then I try to access the site because previously this site was shared with the user. This site was shared with user Tom, but user Tom, user has been deleted from Active Directory. So when I click share one, I'm still able to see that my SharePoint say that, hey, this site can be accessed from user Tom or by user Tom, because this still have no clue that this Tom user is deleted, but it is deleted from Active Directory, but it is still showing that user Tom can access that. Let's try. I'm going to click this one, have a portal in my incognito, and try to log in with the user Tom. Have a password 1234. Oh my goodness, it is not logging me in. Why it's happened now? Because your SharePoint does not hold any database to check where the user is. So how the whole authentication flow happen? This is SharePoint. This is my Active Directory. On SharePoint, I have a site. I have assigned a permission for the user Tom. So when I actually perform a Tom, and when I actually search a Tom, how it will happen that it is gonna connect my Active Directory in a backend. So while assigning a permission to a Tom, Active Directory must be live. If it is not live, it is not connected, I am not going to see the Tom at all. And which protocol they are going to use? They are going to use a protocol called lightweight directory access protocol. So it means that between SharePoint and Active Directory, this specific protocol need to be open in a firewall. If we have a firewall, then this particular port, which is going to work on this specific number, which is called 3389, must be open. So when SharePoint send a request using an LDAP protocol, it is Active Directory is gonna check its database, find out the user, and return the answer to my SharePoint. Now, once this answer returned, then SharePoint in its configuration database going to store the information about the user Tom. This is SharePoint configuration database. So the moment it retrieve the user information, it go and store here, and that's the problem. After that, whenever we use another site and try to assign a permission from Tom, it is not gonna query from Active Directory, because it know that this user Tom is exist in my database. But reality is that this user Tom has been removed from a database. So it is not gonna query when I try to assign a new site to user Tom. I am still able to see a Tom in my SharePoint. So it sometimes it give me impression that Tom is still live, and I assign a permission. But when Tom try to access from his laptop this specific site, then try to access this specific site to Tom. Now it cannot authenticate the user. It can only query the user. What the LDAP protocol does, it only query the user. It does not have an authentication check. So for authentication, now it send this request back to Active Directory. And for that, they use a protocol which is called Kerberos protocol. Now this Kerberos protocol is going to request Active Directory. There is a user called Tom whom we have assigned a permission on SharePoint. Can you confirm what the password he has given, the password is correct or not? Now Active Directory, when check this user in its database, it found that Tom is no longer there. So it is going to return back, sorry, I am not able to find the user itself. How can I verify the password? Then SharePoint is going to send the signal to the browser, and it said that, hey, mister, whatever the information you are requesting to authenticate user Tom, I cannot, because my Active Directory is send me the report that user Tom is not there. Now this is what makes the whole flow of my Active Directory versus Tom configuration. If I want to, as an admin, if I want this problem to avoid, that if someone deleted the user, it must synchronize back to me in my SharePoint, so that at least as a SharePoint admin, I should aware this user is no longer there. Otherwise, I maybe start troubleshooting. I restart server, I do this, I do that, but what happened in exactly, the user has been removed from Active Directory itself. So it means that in a SharePoint, there is a specific service application which is going to help me to synchronize my user information stored in Active Directory to SharePoint, so that I as a SharePoint admin, even if I do not have an access on Active Directory, I can check in my portal itself whether this user is exist or is gone. Now let's do one thing. Before coming to what the synchronization service is, I'm gonna restore this specific user which is in a deleted object to my Active Directory back. Let's come back to the Active Directory user and computer and confirm that whether this user has been restored back. We say that the user Tom is now available here. Now what will happen if I try to log in with the user Tom again? So I'm try this one and say that Tom is now trying to get an access, password 1234, hit enter. Let's check. I'm going to get access now. Because again, what SharePoint does, SharePoint send a request again to the Active Directory. This user requests authentication that their password or username is valid or not. Active Directory say that, hold on, let me check my database. It's go and check the database, and it found that user Tom exists now. When user Tom exists, it is gonna check the password of the user. If the username and password both validated, it sent the information back to my SharePoint. My SharePoint then approve the request and then allow the browser to access SharePoint site. So it means that in eventuality of having a disaster recovery or part of disaster recovery planning, very important role going to play by recycle bin, both from AD and both from SharePoint. And if this recycle bin is not enabled in either of the case, we might run into the problem when something going to delete accidentally on my SharePoint or by AD. So recycle bin is the first feature. Wherever we go, wherever we deploy SharePoint, this is the very first recommendation we are going to make. Even if that organization already have an Active Directory, we are going to audit that Active Directory before deploying SharePoint. Hey, Mr. What will happen if some problem happen in your AD itself? What will happen if the user account got deleted? Yes, at the SharePoint level, we can enable a service which is going to synchronize the profile of the user from Active Directory, and whenever anything updated on Active Directory like user name change or user deleted, this information come back to my SharePoint, and this profile is going to update all my SharePoint service that, hey guys, this Tom is no longer available. So when even if the Tom deleted in Active Directory in SharePoint, I'm able to see Tom. That is the problem, because this particular user is going to say that it is already exist. User information is already exist, but reality, it is deleted in a backend database. So to avoid this confusion or a problem where something has been deleted at the Active Directory site level, and but still my SharePoint is not able to understand, then we can enable a specialized service which is help me to synchronize all the information of Active Directory to my SharePoint database, and it will keep updating on whatever the schedule we defined. So this is pretty advanced level configuration, but we are going to see this one at some level. So this is what the feature it is going to give, that we have an AD, we have a SharePoint, and AD, if account deleted, still we can recover. At the SharePoint, if something has been deleted at the site level, like a list and a document, we can recover from recycle bin. If site itself gonna delete it, no worry, we can recover it from my parent site recycle bin, which is a stage 2. If parent site itself gonna delete it, then we can still recover the parent site by restoring the database if I have a backup. And if my account itself deleted, AD, we can restore it by enabling the recycle bin feature in my Active Directory. And this is how the whole profile, this is how the whole setting going to work in a SharePoint ecosystem. So it means that protecting or understanding the ecosystem is very, very important. That how my SharePoint going to work and what is the dependencies of my SharePoint. My SharePoint is a wonderful application, but it is unfortunately depend on a lot of things. And many of the organization, there is a different admin team at all. Someone only managing Windows. They say that I am happy with Windows. No one going to interfere in my area. Someone said that I am only managing Active Directory. No one is ready to interfere in my area. Someone only managing database server. So in that kind of a distributed team, then we have to draw a very clear cut plan. Who is what have a responsibility? As a SharePoint consultant or as a SharePoint admin, I am going to give my requirement, because running my SharePoint 24 by 7 without any problem is my responsibility. I cannot go and blame that just because something happened at Active Battery. Why you have not take a proactive approach? Why you have not tell the Active Battery admin that you need this feature to be enabled? So as a proactive approach, we need certain feature to be enabled on all these related services. But if in a smaller organization, when I am handling SharePoint, I need to control all these resources as well. So depending upon what my KRA, what is my key responsibility area. But yes, SharePoint is highly, tightly coupled with all these services which we talked about. Let's have a break, come back. We are going to see that how we are going to work on if there is any problem happen at SQL Server itself. Database deleted, SharePoint gone. So how we are going to enable a feature, or we are going to use the feature in a SQL Server where I am going to protect myself in case some disaster happen, because it's my responsibility to protect my resources. All right, Monica,
Mhm.
let's have a break. Google, today just relax. So I'm going to give you this time some additional break. All right.